Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I believe the audience today is going to really love our guest, Estelle Gibson. And she's a TEDx speaker and she's an author, she's an influencer, entrepreneur. Uh, I'm really excited because it's bread and butter material talking about financial independence, financial freedom, your relationship with money. And so, Estelle, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I love this. Get started by telling us your story and how you
Okay.
got to do what you're doing.
Okay, so let me tell you the quick version. If you want to know the beginning, you can listen to my TED Talk because it started when I was a child, and my father teaching me stuff about money. But I started my career early. I had a free study period in high school, and I had an assistant principal, and I really loved having a study hall because I never had a study hall because I was in all honors classes. So I was so excited that I got a study hall. And the assistant principal said, "No, I don't think you're going to a study hall. You are going to take a class. Why don't you take some business classes?" Because I was on the track to be a nurse, believe it or not.
Mm.
And she said, "There's this class called accounting." And I said, "What is that?" She said, "Take it, you'll love it, it'll be fine." And I fell in love with it. And then as a junior in high school, I went to work for a local title agency as an assistant bookkeeper. So I was an assistant bookkeeper before I even got out of high school. So I went into college as a declared accounting major.
Wow.
And which, yeah, it's pretty unusual, but I did. I went in and I picked a school that had really good placement for international accounting firms. And so that's how I started my career was at Deloitte at an international accounting firm. And I was an auditor, auditing large and small companies. So I saw the depth and breadth of every type of general ledger and book you'd ever want to see. And
Wow.
but I went there. I always had an entrepreneurial spirit because my dad had several businesses on the side. He was a creative person and he was a plumber and he was a did all these things on the side. So I always saw the entrepreneurial spirit. So I really loved my small business clients that I would go in with my intention to not only tell them what was going on with their numbers, but to be able to offer them something in the way of value so that they could use my information to make a difference in their business. So it kind of started with that. And then I went on to be a controller I went on to work for other companies and I worked for Honeywell. I worked for big companies and I worked for small companies in accounting management. And then the big catalyst for me was my divorce. So 5 years into my marriage, my husband came home and asked for a divorce out of the blue. And so I had to rebuild my life financially and emotionally because I reverted back to what I learned growing up that one person managed the money. And because I was working with money all day long and my husband was good at it, I handed over my financial power,
Mm.
which happens so often to people in relationships, in businesses, right? Celebrities, athletes, doctors, business owners, they trust other people and hand over their financial power. And then I had to rebuild my life, financially and emotionally at the same time. So I had the idea when I was in my attorney's office where she was helping all these people rebuild their lives and get started. I just had the thought. I was sitting there looking at a table of business cards. I thought, I wonder if anybody needs help with their money as they're rebuilding their life. So I had that fleeting thought and it kind of dissipated. And then I got on this spiritual and self-discovery quest because wanted to find out how did I get in this situation of being divorced and what happened. And so I started getting into self-development. And what I realized was that people in my self-development community, the people that I was learning with and growing with were struggling with money, living paycheck to paycheck, and they were in fear and stressed and worried. And I'm in the financial world with people with a lot of money, and they're stressed and they're worried and they're in fear. And I saw that no one's having financial freedom. So that's when I started on the quest to help people to create financial freedom for themselves, and it being not just a manage your money financial literacy, but it's also the other piece of looking at what are the limiting beliefs and things that stop them from achieving financial freedom.
Yeah, what a fantastic story. And I really want to talk about this episode devoted to your relationship with money because yeah, I love how you took charge and took power of your financial and never become financially independent on either a parent, a spouse, government,
Right.
job,
Yes.
employer, all of that. We have to learn that, but we don't learn that in society. So yeah. So then, so kind of, what kind of dissect it now. So one thing is talking about, I've been thinking about this really, honestly, because I like, especially with the elections, I'm like, is the system rigged? Is school teaching us to be poor? I see our country kind of going in a wrong direction. So talk about this
Right.
poor by
Apologize.
choice and talk about overcome the lies and create your
Yes.
financial truth.
So poor by choice has a couple different meanings. So in my book, I talk, and in my TED Talk, I talk about being poor by choice or by circumstance.
Mm,
So I was poor by choice. I handed over my financial power. A lot of people do that. But people are in circumstances depending on whether they have an illness, whether they're just trapped in their job,
mhm,
for whatever reason. So that's kind of the top of line is, am I poor by choice or circumstance?
mm,
And then the second piece, Chris, is a rhetorical question. Do we always have a choice? Is believing that I don't have a choice a choice? Is thinking that I'm stuck in this rut and I can't get out of it a choice? Just what you said about society, and are we being taught in school that you don't have a choice?
mm,
So that's something that we have to think about, because we always at choice? Can we always make changes and take choices? And I talk about that a lot in the book. And the third one is, there are always times throughout our life, and I call it your money life, whether it's you're a child, an adolescent, a young adult, career person, or a person that's moving more into legacy.
mm,
There are times throughout your money life that you are at a crossroads. Like
mm,
for me, my parents said they couldn't pay for my college. I had a choice to make.
mm,
Do I go into debt and go down the path of financial aid and debt? Do I not go to college? Do I go to college at a place that doesn't make sense for me? And I think in my divorce, I had a choice. Do I spend money on, these kinds of things? Do I invest in my future? In your business, you have choices constantly every day on where you're putting your money and where you're putting your financial power. Where are you placing that? So that's, another part of the choice. And then the last one is kind of what you're getting at with is, our money attitudes, behaviors are based on the environments that we grow up in.
mm,
And based on those environments, and I talk about in the book the 4 levels of belief. And so we have beliefs at 4 levels. The first one is the society that we live in. Here in the United States, we have very specific beliefs about money, whether it's going to debt, bankrupt, or, all that. Compared to another continent or a country, they have their own societal beliefs. So that's one level. You're kind of in the society that you're in. The second is the community level. Doctors are a community. Is there some thinking or belief systems that doctors have about money? Probably so, right?
mm,
So your community, whether it's your profession, your church community, your neighborhood, your geographic location, there are messages and that we're always adopting in the community level. And then the family level. Most families have a motto, whether it's we have to work hard, we don't have to work hard, we have to have a business, we shouldn't have a business, all of those things at the family level. And then at the personal level, whether you've had an experience with money, whether you've had a business, lost a business, been bankrupt, been divorced, that creates another level of beliefs. And so those 4 levels of beliefs are really going on underneath. And because we don't teach about money and we don't talk about money, these beliefs are adopted based on these 4 levels. So then it becomes really difficult for people to even feel like they have a choice, because they're just flowing in the way of their environmental thinking, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I love that. I really love your choice and then also your levels of beliefs. And regardless of what's going around you, we can always choose.
Yes.
One thing, you also talk about toxic money relationships, and I'm curious,
Mhm.
what are the feelings and beliefs around money that create a toxic relationship with money?
So toxic money relationships have to do with usually money that you've gone through a battle for, even if it's, so let's just talk about doctors. So you've had to take all this debt on,
Mhm.
or you've had to borrow money, or you've had to work really hard. And a lot of it's with relationships. So if you've gone through any kind of business breakup or relationship breakup and you've had to have a battle over your getting your money, it creates an enormous amount of resentment,
Mhm.
anger, sometimes guilt. And what I found in working with clients is that if they don't acknowledge that or clear that energy, they
Mhm.
take it forward into all of their money relationships, in making money, in paying their bills. There's just all this resentment and so forth that hangs on. So we have to clear that so that people can be free of that, because it's one of the things that are kind of uncovered when people can't get ahead, or they can't meet their goals, or they just can't, they seem to be stuck. Sometimes it's a toxic money belief system that is driving everything.
Sounds like what you're describing is emotional baggage. Just
Yeah, right? But emotional baggage tied to money. And you're right,
yeah.
it's emotional baggage. I always say, I work with couples a lot, and they say, people say, when you get together as a couple, you bring your emotional baggage. You also bring your emotional money baggage and your bad habits, right? And if
Yeah.
you think about the four levels of beliefs and two people trying to get together with the money, oh my gosh, can you imagine? It's like multiplied.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And when you say clearing the emotional baggage, what kind of work is entailed in clearing it? Like, what do you have to do to clear out that bad energy?
Well, the first thing in any belief change system is recognition and awareness.
Mhm.
So if we look at another framework that I use, it's kind of a manifestation framework, but it's really good to show you how you experience things. Is it starts with your words. Your words create your thoughts. And let's just think of how we teach children. We teach them this means that. We teach them words, and they start to build thoughts. Your thoughts create your beliefs, your belief system, which creates feelings, which you react to, you act or react, which creates your experience. So it starts with that. So if you're having an experience you don't want, you got to work backwards. So what are the actions I'm taking? What are the feelings and beliefs? Feelings and beliefs are the key,
Mhm.
because they're kind of in the middle and they're the driver. But you can begin to, there's so many ways, Chris, that you can begin to reprogram. First of all, is recognition. Second of all, it really depends on the person and kind of what's going to work for them. But I know a lot of people start with affirmations, but I take people a little bit deeper. You can use emotional freedom technique. I use a process called the clear beliefs technique, which helps people, many different tools that helps people get to a core belief, because there are a lot of surface beliefs that will lead to a core belief. And a core belief is something that we definitely want to get to so that we can begin to uproot, and it's usually something that gets back to believe, you'll believe this. It's usually something that gets back to something that happened in early in your life, a core belief. And they're usually things like, I'm not enough, there's not enough, especially with money, not enough time, not enough energy. I'm not worthy. I'm a loser. I can't have what I want. I'll never make it. So those are core beliefs that can be evolved into other beliefs that stop everything. And they're running underneath, they're running subconsciously. People don't walk around knowing their core beliefs. They
Yeah.
just go into, in our society, we're a thinking society. So we try to think our way out of it. And the key to all this is feelings. The key to your beliefs are your feelings. And so you've got to be willing to take a look at the feelings of what's going on, and the feelings will lead you there. But we don't like to look at feelings in our society. We'll do anything to avoid them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And you also, teach people through rewriting these and kind of awareness.
Yeah.
What I love, you delivered your TEDx talk, and it's got over 2.3 million views. And you've also written your book, Rewrite Your Money Story. Kind of talk about that. How can people find that? And I'm sure the links will be there, and they're
Yes.
interested in seeing that.
They can find that on Amazon. And so that book, one of the reasons I wrote that book was that was one of the first things that really helped me when I was on my quest for self-discovery, was understanding my first experience. And everybody has two or three or even more money stories, but my first experience with money that bled through everything. And it was basically boiled down to there's not enough money. And when you get to a core belief, like I said earlier, not enough money, time, energy, a core belief bleeds through every area of your life. So Rewrite Your Money Story is a guided journal that walks you through the four levels of belief in detail so that you can write exactly what you, it guides you to uncover. It's got 3 steps in it. So you understand, uncover, and then upgrade your story. So understanding your story is uncovering all these, different stories from people in your life, whether it's your first employer or your family or your grandmother or your community. So it helps you go through that. Your first experience with money. Was it money earned or money given? What age were you? So I walk you through that phase to uncover and understand your story and then begin to see if it aligns with what you truly want. And part of the book is setting some money goals and, what is it you want in your life and how is this story playing out today? Because that's what happens is it's playing out somehow today and people don't realize it. And then they go back and go, oh my gosh, that is it. That's the thing that's driving things. So that's what that guided journal walks you through.
Yeah, very fascinating. And then, how can people contact you and reach out to you after, and work with you, find out more about you?
They can go to estellegibson.com. And if you'd like to connect with me, hit the Let's Connect button. There's lots of resources and information, but you can hit Let's Connect, and then that's a way that I can talk with you further on your money journey.
And I really enjoyed this, especially the just uncovering all of the hidden, just psychology.
Barriers to financial freedom.
And yeah, and I really enjoyed talking with you, and thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.